welcome back. Well, today we're in Santa Ana, California, and game 4 tonight for the Dodgers. Hopefully they can do a sweep against the New York Yankees in this 2024 baseball season. I'd like to see the Dodgers win it tonight, come home as champions, see Ohtani get his first ring. How appropriate for all you Angel fans. I know you guys want to see Ohtani get his ring as well, but with that being said, the reason we're in Santa Ana and we're at the Fairhaven Memorial Park is we're here to pay respects and actually visit somebody that was responsible for a lot of music, a lot of musicians, a lot of bands, as you saw with Eric Clapton as the intro, but not necessarily a musician. He was more of, well, an inventor. We're gonna go see Leo Fender, the originator of the Fender guitar and so many different styles, the Fender Stratocasters and the Fender bass, and just go pay our respects and talk about Leo a little bit. So let's go find Leo and I'll help you find him, so if you ever want to visit him too. So I made my way over here and we're in Delonge. So as you come in, you would make a left. We're looking for Clarence Leonidas Fender. And there's a little squirrel, maybe. Show me the way, squirrel. Show me the way. But right over there in the building from Delonge, almost diagonal, is where Jim Morrison's wife was laid to rest. She's in the memoriam on the wall. I did a video on her too, so if you want to check that out. But one thing that was cool about this guy too is the connection with so many artists. And Kurt Cobain, actually his guitar sold to Jim Irsay. That was the one that sold for $6.4 million, I think it was. It was a Fender Stratocaster, because he was left-handed. I'll just put in a video of him right now and I'll catch up with you guys with Kurt explaining why he liked that guitar so much.
Are you left-handed? Do you find it hard to get the right guitar finger?
Usually, yeah. It's a bit easier now because I have an endorsement with Fender guitars now, so they're making me left-handed Mustangs, and so it's a lot easier. It used to be a total pain in the ass. I mean, when we were on our first couple of tours, you know, I'd only have one guitar, and it would have to be cheap, you know, a $30 guitar from a pawn shop, and I'd end up breaking it after the show, and then the next day was consumed with trying to find a pawn shop and the few dollars that we had to buy a guitar, and then we'd have to turn the strings around and try to intonate it ourselves, and it just made for a really out of tune, raunchy experience, you know, during those first few years.
It was a pain in the ass trying to find a guitar.
Yeah, it was like the biggest dilemma of the day.
This one will work left-handed. Yeah, it's cut. This part's notched a little bit, you know.
It was a big hassle.
All the electronics are on the top.
In fact, we even built a bunch of Mustangs one time. We bought some necks and took pieces of wood and cut out the bodies and put the necks on, and they were completely out of tune all the time. And we did a pretty good job at it. I don't think so. Those were all destroyed in one tour. That was about like 4 years ago, probably, at least. But the ones I use now are just, I use this same Jaguar a lot, and mostly Mustangs. And I'm having Fender build me a special guitar that's like a mixture of a Mustang and a Jaguar, which might be kind of interesting.
Did you give them the directions what you wanted?
Yeah. Yeah, I took a picture of a Jaguar with a Polaroid and a picture of a Mustang, and then cut them down the middle and glued them together and said, build this.
I thought I could do it on my own, and I could not. So I went to the front office, and they were very nice. Gave them the last name, and look at this. They had it all ready to go. Clarence Leonidas Fender, Leo. So, all right, we're going to head back. Hopefully, with some direction, go be able to pay our respects now to Leo. Oh my gosh, I have walked by this time and time again. So if you come from the side of the street right there and find Wren, after that turn, there's the office. Come down, right where that last arrow goes right there, and then find Ren down there and walk straight up. Leo Fender, remembered always, 1909 to 1991. Found you, Leo. I walked up and down this area, and I'm usually pretty good at finding places and cemeteries. I don't know why this eluded me, and it's kind of by itself too. Got Leo Fender right here, and I know he was married twice. The longest was over 40 years, but wow, found Leo. Now, Leo was born in Santa Ana in, what was it? August 10th, 1909. He passed away March 21st, 1991. But he was the American inventor and founder of Fender Musical. So he wasn't a musician per se, but he did the Fender Telecaster, Stratocaster, bassman. Also, one thing about Leo was he had a tumor when he was young, and he lost one of his eyes. He had to remove his eye, and he had a glass eye. So he was ineligible for World War II in the draft. That is so cool that I found Leo. But that didn't stop him from messing around. I guess he started with his uncle taking apart radios back in the early 1920s, and that's where he really loved electronics, and that's where he started working on radios and then eventually guitars. So as you can see currently, my phone is hanging out in a tree. What is it? Lots of musicians though. Lots and lots of musicians. Fender, Gibson, you hear all the other guitars too, but it was known that the Fender was such a reliable and easy headstock to change out, is why a lot of starting musicians used them. I mean, like I said, I think they started, what was the year they started? Eric Clapton was known for, his favorite one was his 1962. Hendrix, not to forget Hendrix at Woodstock. I'll put that in too, Woodstock, right here actually. A couple more. David Gilmour from Pink Floyd and the Dark Side of the Moon used a Fender Stratocaster as well. The bass was really known. I mean, even the amps that Leo Fender started creating, the arch type, was really inspirational to all the amps that you see now today. So that is another thing that Leo came up. He was quite the inventor, and he had a guy almost like, I forgot his name, and I'm sorry, and excuse me that it slips me. He had a finance guy, and then they had Leo, who would just be left alone to do his tinkerings, as you would say. There's also one of the more popular ones to everyone, I mean, growing up in my age range, would be the Frankenstrat that Eddie Van Halen used. I mean, that was another popular one, and that was in the Too Hot for Teacher video. That thing, I believe, sold for $2 million. The Hendrix one sold for $2 million too. I believe that's up in Seattle in the Mod Museum. Like I was saying earlier, Jim Irsay from the Colts, the owner of the Colts, Indianapolis football team, he has the Kurt Cobain one. When he got it for $6.8 million, he couldn't believe he got it that cheap. Understandable. I mean, I believe that was used in the Smells Like Teen Spirit, and like Kurt was saying earlier, he had to turn everything around just because they made right-handed guitars, you know. So they eventually made the guitar, the left-handed one, for Kurt Cobain and so many other people. And when you think about it, it's quite strange because so many musicians, or just people that do interesting things, if you pay attention, I mean, the majority of people are right-handed. Left-handed people think a little bit differently, create a little bit differently, which is always cool. So if you ever want to come see Leo, come in off the main street, make a left past the office, go down past the office, make a right, J-lot, curves around from the street, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about dead center right there is where Leo is. So rest in peace, Leo. There are so many cool like little facts. I mean, the fact that Leo's parents, you know, had a successful orange grove out here in Orange County, and you know, he was here his whole life. The things he must have seen. He saw Disneyland. I mean, Disneyland grow from nothing to Walt creating it in the 50s. Just all the awesome times, the beach days, all the iconic pop scene. Such a cool thing, and he's such a focal part of it, which really just blows me away. This area just never stops surprising me, and to be that close to where supposedly Jim Morrison's wife is now, I mean, craziness, crazy. So with that being said, once again, remembered always, Leo Fender. Okay, so one more thing I was thinking about on my way home and driving home, I was like, there's another guy I remember that uses a Fender Strat, Tom DeLonge from Blink-182, one of my favorite Angels and Airwaves, Boxcar Racer. Tom, man, Tom. And I have one. Check this out. Check out what I have. I have a Fender Stratocaster. Just, okay, so, yes, I do. So this is, I don't know what this is number. That's Tom's signature. This is the basic one that he played for everything and that he loved so much. So it's got the one pickup, and what does it have on the back? It doesn't have much else, but here's Tom talking about it, and here's me putting my little toy away. So, yeah, a Tom DeLonge Stratocaster. Again, like this video. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, and we'll see you next time.
So that's where the simple idea came from, because I was like, you're up on stage, I don't want to be like clicking things, or you hit it with your hand and it shuts off for some reason. But then I was like, well, if I want it to be just mine, one thing all the other Strats have were like that smaller headstock, and I saw this one in some old photo, the 70s headstock, and I thought it just like kind of made way more sense on the guitar, like balanced out the size. So I don't know, we put in this old pickup, the Invader, because it was super overdriven, and it was like, I was such a garagey punk rock player, I wasn't very good, and it kind of hides a lot because it's so distorted, and it makes it really easy to play and just sounds good and big. And so I think it's like kind of the best guitar for anybody that just wants something to sound good, and you turn it on and play, and it works kind of with everything. And the other thing too, it's like the bright colors and like the fun California kind of thing. I always like things that had like kind of timeless classic kind of bright colors, and then it reminds you of the sun. The sun is out a little bit, you know?